Plants, the green frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. Hey, what's up? Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. For you first-time listeners, thank you for finding the Horticult. We love you. This is a podcast where plant geeks can get their freak on. We let loose on all aspects of horticulture, but we focus on water-wise conservation efforts. Hey, what's up? This is Blaine for the Horticult. On this episode of the podcast, we talk about our epic fails of gardening. Get into propagation problems, placement problems, design issues, things like that. And we just wanted to say thank you to you listeners out there. We love you, and let's get it on. I'm B Flane.
And I am B-Rad.
And we are the Horticult. Thanks for coming along for the ride. On today's episode of the podcast, gardening fails.
Oh, yes.
So, and also,
that has never happened to me.
Yeah, no, we are perfect. 100% record right here on success. So what I really suck at, propagation of seedlings from seedlings.
Okay.
I have killed more plants in utero than anything else.
Well, real quick.
I can get them to sprout.
Yeah.
And then I fry them, or I don't water them.
Is
I don't know.
Like just a lack of just paying attention to when they need to be watered next?
Probably.
Or like...
You know, maybe the light was too close, or maybe I did forget to water them, or...
Yeah.
I don't know. Just inexperience in that realm.
You know somebody who knows that whole realm so well? Almond Starlight.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say Samantha.
Yeah, she knows. I mean, she knows and is able to go from start to finish and create these beautiful flower bouquets. Like, that's crazy cool.
Well, what was cool from her Instagram, that she would like start a bunch of seeds together in this, I mean, all in one plug and dump it out. Like, up.
Yeah.
Get it out and then separate them.
Yep.
Or do some. I don't know exactly what she was doing, but
yeah. Well, and that's beneficial in the way that when you are separating or teasing those little seedlings apart, those germlings as we could call them. The nice thing about that is that you don't have any kind of root bound issues if they were in a plug tray or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like a seed tray, where the roots will go down, then they'll start wrapping around and around and around. And it's like this way you tease them apart, and really that's the way when you're planting a garden and you're planting your tomatoes and zucchini and all that other stuff is you really want to get those roots kind of just splayed out as much as possible. And it's kind of a weird concept because it's like the roots are so delicate, you know, and you'll see a few of them break off. But in my experience, that's the best way to then replant something. And then, of course, you know, water it in, and so that the soil can surround the roots and establish like a nice, good, solid foundation. Yeah. Anyway, it's trial and error. But.
I know it by theory, but in practice is where I just have never had practical practice. You know,
you've got a greenhouse, man.
I know, and I have killed many things in that greenhouse, which I haven't been able to get going. Like, I think if I set,
what did you learn about? Like, did you learn?
I more got discouraged. Yeah, I more just got discouraged, and it's a really crappy. It just gets too dang freaking hot in there.
Yeah.
So I think I'm doing it at the wrong time of year, where it just gets too freaking hot and I can't cool it down. And two, I mean, I was watering it every day. Yeah. It's really hard to get them. I mean, you even gave me some. Wait, I mean,
Well, yeah, some starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I killed a lot of those. I'm like, I'm going to kill these things. I got to just get them in the ground. Like, I couldn't bring them along. I just was like, good luck, suckers. I'm just going to put you where I want you to be, and hopefully you make it. And you know what? Almost everything that I planted in plug form made it.
Dude, that's sweet. A thought came to mind as far as your greenhouse, basically. And trying to get more ventilation in there, and that is just simply take the roof off, like the top. I mean, within reason, but I mean that's going to allow for more airflow, better circulation. The walls still protect the plant. It's like an insulator, so to speak. But man, it'd be great if there was like a removable top,
right?
Just a quick thing.
I think it's made more for, as just a season extender thing, and I was trying to do it in the middle. I should be trying to use that more in the off seasons to bring things up. And I was like, end of spring, early summer, everything died. And it was like, what the heck am I doing? I should have started in like February or started, and I didn't start them in the house either. A lot of people start them in the house and then take them to their little sunroom or little greenhouse that they have, and then kind of bring them along in there. But I did see a really cool greenhouse in the tours. So I went on a garden tour, and it was the Gardening Calm in Salt Lake. I guess it's a national garden networking. Most of them are bloggers or writers on garden stuff, taking a lot of photography. And this one house in Sandy that we went to had this awesome greenhouse, and it was very simple. But it was a dug-down greenhouse. So, I mean, it was a wood frame. It was deep, though, in the ground, so it was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool greenhouse.
Yeah.
Which I thought that...
Cool as in temperature.
Yeah, temperature.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least it kept it at a cooler degree. I mean, we went and it was, like, raining, so it wasn't... I didn't get to feel the full force.
Yeah.
But
well, cooler, so
neat.
it would also be an insulator in the way that if you had any amount of heat, that heat would maybe... come out of the ground at night.
Yeah.
And then the daytime when the temps change, that would be just a really moderate.
And it was really tall. Like it was it was dug down, and then it was like probably outside of the greenhouse looking at it, it was 10 feet tall, and it was dug down 5 feet.
Oh, cool.
So when you get down there, you're almost at ground level,
It was a kind of a homemade job.
Yeah, it was totally a homemade job.
Oh, cool.
Way cool. This guy would propagate cactus.
Yeah.
So he would go out and harvest and bring them in, and he just had hundreds, maybe even thousands of little cactus everywhere.
Wow.
His yard was amazing. Don't remember the name, but
yeah,
it was great. But his was designed for what he does. Where I didn't, I just have this plastic tent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is training grounds, right? I mean, for you, this is training grounds. So it's kind of like, okay, that didn't work out. What can I do to switch things up a little bit and retest?
It's basically trying to grow in a tent. When it gets so hot when you're camping in a tent and you can't sleep past like 9 because the sun comes up and you're frying and you're just sweating balls.
That's what the plants were doing.
That's exactly what it was doing. So you'd have to be watering all the time in there.
Epic fail.
Epic fail, big time.
Seeds or greenhouse.
Yes.
Propagation.
Very discouraging, actually.
Well, I'm sure there's a few people out there that have had the same issues. So
that's true.
Just keep on going. Keep on going. You can do it.
What's your biggest epic?
Man, that is... I'm going to really have to go deep to find... No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. The thing that comes up in my mind is when we first started our landscape and in our yard. And if you can imagine, it's a lot like here at your place where we just started with a blank slate, okay?
Yeah.
So we move in, and you basically have just this flat, level dirt. And as new landscapers, we were just like, okay, let's go get our trees and some cool perennials and whatnot. And kind of a side note, we were working towards a backyard wildlife habitat. So there's a lot of really cool plants that were involved. But, we were just like, oh, man, we want some Colorado blue spruce. Oh, yeah, cool, great. That's native here, right? And as it goes with, and I think most homeowners do this same thing, is that you plant this small tree, it's about 5 feet tall, too close to the foundation, or too close to your house, really, and not really thinking about the 10 or 15 or now, in my case, 25 years of being in the home. And it's not only just for me to deal with, but like, had we moved on and sold the house, then it would be the next owners that would have to deal with these issues. So sure enough, we planted the trees too close to the house or too close to the shed or the fence, right? When they're tiny, and it looks great. It's a great little picture perfect spot. But as time has gone on, and rather than removing those trees, now what I'm dealing with, so this is a pretty epic fail, is now I'm having to prune the tree, and as you, I mean, with the way that the Colorado blue spruce grows, it's pretty thick, it's pretty wide. So now and it's on the corner at the front of my house. I've pruned a triangle out of the blue spruce all the way up to the eave, and it literally the trunk of the tree is probably a foot away from the rain gutter right now.
Wow.
Okay, so when there's wind, you can hear it scratching the rain gutter and whatnot. Anyway, so there's many reasons why it's not a good idea. Safety reasons, and even for insurance reasons, maybe. Like, that's just such a bad idea, because if that tree it were to fall into the house, or branches come down or whatnot, it's real bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I've had to prune. Now, I've also come to terms with the fact that now this tree that typically could live 60 to 120 years is now a temporary tree. And there's no way it's going to make it another 10 years. There's no way. So now what could have been this awesome landscape specimen for the existence of this home, I'm going to have to take out. And there's going to be a bare spot in that area. And but, as a landscaper, as a gardener, you have to come to terms with removing things that you desire, that you like, that turned out well other than placement. And it happens. So lesson there for us and for me, make sure I take a look at the final height and width. And unless you're down with a temporary tree, like, you know what, I only want that there for 10 years anyway. I want to switch things up down the road. And by saying that, a lot of people might say, I want to switch things up 10 years down the road, but does the budget permit for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would say that's a pretty big epic fail on my part, but you learn from it.
Yeah.
So,
see, I haven't had that. I mean, things that I have planted too close to each other and crowding, and I just move it. I haven't planted. I haven't. I've been here 3 years. 2-3 years, and I haven't had that issue. I did plant that tree a little too close to my house, but I have plans on moving that, buddy. So
yeah, I would say you're pretty safe to move that now, and then you could avoid.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, in that more of a temporary tree, but that was one thing Cameron brought up.
Huh.
Planting really pretty things for a temporary period, even though here in Utah we have a harder time. He did say that.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is it's like, that's money, man.
I know.
Like, I mean, for some people that's not a big deal, but man, that's money. You know, too, okay, so there's planting too close to the house, but I mean, that could also be likened to like being planted too close to the road.
Right.
So in a park strip, and if it's maybe there's safety issues there, right? If it's too large of a specimen and it's next to your driveway, you don't want to, put your kids and friends and neighbors at risk,
right.
As far as like backing out. It's just like But so there's many applications to that. Planting the could be the right specimen, just in the wrong place.
Usually that's what I've done. Too, also, adding on to my killing of baby plants, the genocide of baby plants.
Not the baby plants.
Think of the children. Yes, placement. There was a couple. I bought my mom a beautiful. It was one of those willows that has the white leaves. I think it's a Japanese variety willow. I can't remember what it's. I really wanted a Salix purpurinana, the Arctic willow.
The blue Arctic?
Yeah, the blue Arctic willow. But this guy, the nursery guy, sold me on this, and I'd seen him around, and so I went for it. I'm like, okay, it's a willow, and it's wet, not too hot. So I put it on my mom's, like, northwest side. She has kind of an angled house, northwest side, which ended up being more west.
So the hot.
Yes. And
scalding
then
hot side.
She has a white vinyl fence.
Okay.
So it's like double whammy.
Double whammy, yeah.
But it was just a big time, and it just burned. Just the leaves just burned off, and I was like, "Oh, freak!"
Dig it up and move it.
I jacked it.
Oh, bummer.
I tried to keep it. I pruned it, and I threw on extra water, and I really tried to get it going, and nope.
Yeah.
Unsuccessful. So yeah, it's really planting the right place, right plant in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you have? What else would
Epic
be a
fail?
Would it be a epic fail or just simply a gardener's struggle?
Epic fail for me is pruning. It took me a while to figure out pruning. There was a couple shrubs shrub is actually an excellent practice for pruning because they can handle a lot more abuse. But I have withered down. Like, you just get in the mode of cutting it, and you just can't stop.
Yeah.
You just go a little too far, and then it's like, oh, one more cut here. And then you're like, I have nothing left.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever killed anything from pruning. It's just I've butchered things.
Yeah, yeah. I've done the same thing. But usually, what I like to try to do, and I like to try to do this with everything gardening, and that is find a pattern. So if I'm going to maintain something or prune something, find a pattern. So like shrubs, it's a great example. And if you're doing renewal pruning, it's easy to get lost in the thicket, so to speak. But if you start to look for particular like patterns of, okay, if the branch or the trunk of the shrub that I'm pruning out, all of this old stuff, so I can get some new growth, renewal pruning. Everything that is smaller than a pencil thickness, I'm gonna leave. Mm-hmm. Everything bigger than that, I'm taking out. So like I've put in some parameters, and then you don't get so, in my opinion, or what happens to me is I get sidetracked. You know, if I don't put out parameters in my mind, I start getting sidetracked and I start cutting more than I wanted to, or maybe a whole bunch over here on the right-hand side. But then as the day progresses, you know, or the hour or whatever, it's lopsided. Like, wait a second, I started with good intentions, and then what happened? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, patterns. It's super helpful for not just pruning stuff, but
I think pruning is another one where you
deadheading.
can kind of you're overthinking it. Like,
you can always come back.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't cut it, you could cut it next time, or
Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah.
pattern is perfect because you know stick to the D's, the dead, diseased, and
The double or the triple D's.
the triple D's.
Oh, yeah.
that's even better.
Dead,
than,
diseased,
That's
and
better than the double
damaged.
D's. We want triple D's over
There
here.
is,
Yeah.
Well, the flashlight lasts a lot longer when you've got the.
Okay. Yeah, the dead, diseased, and deformed, or what was the other one? Wasn't there one?
Dead, diseased, deformed, and damaged.
Damaged. There we go.
Van damaged.
Van damaged.
So yeah, that's
that's
can
another
be a
pattern.
challenge.
That's your pattern.
I think weeds for me. So I kind of wanted to go with a little bit more of an organic feel in my grass, so I could like preserve the all the good bugs and insects and things like that.
Yeah. Epic fail.
The earthworms. Epic fail in the way that I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do pre-emergence herbicide, and that was a huge mistake. That really was. So in the front yard is where I would do that. But the backyard, you know, where I've got my dog, I don't want to like jack my dog up and all the cool animals and stuff like that with pre-emergent herbicides. So, but I'm just like, I'm gonna let it go one time. You know, best practice for pre-emergent herbicide is once in the spring and once in the fall, right? Take out your annual weeds and then take out your seeded perennial weeds. That's best practice. But I decided to skip it. I'm like, no, you know what? We're good. I don't have the time or the money for that. And that was a mistake. That was kind of an epic fail. And then all of the weed seeds germinated. And I've been battling. I'm still, to this day, this year, battling weeds in my lawn, which hasn't happened in a decade.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of like, Brad's a horticulturist. He should totally know how to like grow turf grass with minimum amount of like input and maintenance and all of that other stuff. And I've gotten to a point where honestly, I gave up there for a minute. I'm like, the weeds are taking over. Go for it. I'm just going to mow you down, and I don't have to look at you for a minute.
What pre-emergent do you use, or if you do use it?
That could be. You know what? Okay, so in the past, it's been Dimension, which I really really like a lot. As a it's like a broad. It hits everything, everybody. But I switched over to this one called Snapshot. Okay, and it's one that is used by the professionals in the industry. You know, I've noticed a decrease in some of the weeds, but the one that is just the worst is that prostrate one that realistic. I mean, it has seeds already born on the branches when it grows up into maturity. Like it's
the spotted spurge.
Yes, that's it. And it's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
It's freaking everywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of my epic fail for this year anyway. Would be the weeds. Just I can't get them under control in the turf grass. Everywhere else is pretty well. It's good to go, but yeah, delicate balance when you're dealing with monocots and dicots, you know, and they're growing together, and you're just like, dude. If you're just killing everything out, okay, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Or if you're just letting everything grow, great. But it's when you have that conundrum of the two together. And I know, for example, maybe when you have grass growing up in your beds, and how difficult that can be to kill that out.
Yeah.
In your perennial beds, right? And they have chemicals for that. It's called over the top. But I've never seen great results with that, to be quite honest with you. It's almost like a Band-Aid a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, tricky.
Well, I probably could say I had an epic fail with my new garden that I put in, because I thought my grass was...
Dude, that is not an epic fail. That
Indeed.
is so freaking nice.
Well, I'm going to have some long days of getting rid of grass in my beds because I didn't take care of it properly the first time. Like, I had a plan, and I deviated from the plan because I wanted to be more organic, because I didn't want to use Roundup or weed or a grass killer or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tried to dry it out as much as I could, and I'm like, I could dry it out and just cover it. It'll be all right. Wrong. So I'll probably be able to get it under control, hopefully by next year.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm a little worried. That's why you're not seeing pictures of it on my Instagram, because I don't want everyone to see all the grass coming up, because it looks bad.
Like thinking, I just had a thought go across my head. And while the perennials are still kind of small, right?
Yeah.
You could... you could put like a 5-gallon bucket over the perennials, or maybe something a little bit smaller, more realistic in size.
Yeah.
And get
just
many
spray
numbers.
the crap out of it.
And then just spray everything around it, right?
Yeah.
On a day that's not windy. It's not too hot.
I was actually even thinking about moving the bark off around the areas that are coming up a lot.
Oh, that's a lot of work, man.
Trim it down, even like taking my weed whip and just scalp the out of it.
Yeah.
And then spray it.
Yeah, but if you're
Cover it
spraying it though, you don't want to weed whack it, right?
Because it needs the surface area to absorb.
Yeah, it needs the more greenery you have, the more leaf area you have, actually, the more effective it can be.
Maybe that's why the spray's not.
That's.
I've had one spray, and I actually did use a surfactant.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because I was trying to get Scythe at the old IFA, and they're like, we don't have it. We order it.
It's banned.
No, it's not banned. It's just no one wants it.
Oh, right.
Because it's $70 a gallon.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, I think I'll take the surfactant. Thank you very much. That's like nothing. But the thing that I really like about the Scythe is that it's like instantaneous. You see something happening.
Yeah.
You spray it and you see it. Because it's an acid. It just burns the freak out of it. But, so it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Because if you use Roundup regularly or whatever, it takes a week to see anything happen.
That's true, and it's maybe just the time and the patience of like allowing it to translocate from the leaf down to the root and
I'm not
to
very
the
patient,
crown.
man. I hate it.
I know that there are some herbicides that are fast acting.
Yeah,
and they have different combinations of chemical.
I thought about just getting straight grass killer, but that's pretty expensive a bottle too. It was like for
it's a monocot killer.
Yeah, it was for I think it was a quart for $40.
Yeah,
and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, think of the investment of your landscape, and is it worth it?
Right.
Could be.
Could be. That's true.
Yeah, it could be.
All right.
Rock and roll.
We'll see you later, Brad.
Later.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank you, listeners. I want to thank Brad for coming and doing this podcast with me. I want to thank my dog, Einstein, for snoring through this episode. Thank you, listeners. You guys are awesome. Go check out our webpage, horticult.com. It has all of our links to all of our other social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter. Plant on, Babylon.